Before we move forward, assessing operations is the first step of our 9 step process of automating your customer support. If you haven't already seen it, you might want to click on this video and take a look at what the No Leads Left Behind system is, how it helps small medium businesses automate their customer support, scheduling, and follow up with AI, what exactly we do in all of these 3 phases and in each of these steps. If you're interested in knowing more about our system, just click here and it'll take you to the video which has our whole process. All right, so first things first, whenever we onboard a customer, the number one thing we do is housekeeping. It is simple things like setting up your communication channels, Slack, WhatsApp, emails, getting all of the project management tools in place so that you know how the project is progressing and what are all of the things that we're doing. We also set up recurring meetings with your team and with the stakeholders to just give you an update on how things are progressing. By the time we're done, you'll have a huge Google Drive folder with 12 to 15 documents that we'll be using throughout this process, specifically tailored to your business. And finally, we nominate key personnel who are the decision makers and who will be giving us most of the information. At this point, we also do like basic intros between the teams so that we're all comfortable moving forward. Once we're done with the housekeeping items, the next activity is the operational assessment workshop. This is the most crucial activity of the step, and it gives you a blueprint of how your business works day to day. We understand every business is different and you do things a certain way, and there might be reasons why you do those things in a specific way, which might be different from your peers. Over time, we've found that it's super important to de-risk the adoption for your team because it is the same bunch of people that we are thinking about augmenting or automating. So it's really important to tell them that this system is not going to replace them. It is at most going to augment them and going to do the most boring parts of their job, which is like answering the same queries over and over again, doing schedulings, doing follow ups, and just handling basic complaints. So we start this workshop by telling them that it is all about augmenting them and not automating them. We also have a few case studies from our previous customers, which we show them and how their customer support team leads a better, saner life, and they get a lot more done in the same 8 hours. The next step is to list down all of the personnel and touch points. This is where we want everybody on your team on an org chart. We want their names, their responsibilities, their day to days, so that if we want to get in touch with them and understand something in detail from them, we're able to do that. We also need to know what are all of the different workflows that are happening in your customer support function, who are all of the people that it touches. So it is a lot about you and your team talking and telling us how things are done today, and us just listening and asking the right questions to deep dive into those. Once we've heard about most of the major workflows, we deep dive and dry run all of the SOPs. Think of it as us standing behind your shoulder and just documenting what you do in your day to days so that we can map it out and we can draw it out and look at it from a fresh pair of eyes perspective. Knowing these workflows deeply is super important because once we visualize all of these activities on a workflow diagram, a lot of times it'll be your team that will be suggesting those opportunities because once it's out there, everybody can see it and we can talk about the same thing in detail. Next up is establishing the qualification and escalation criteria. Obviously, you'll have ways to qualify your customers because, for example, you've got one of your best customers reaching out to you for a refund because of bad service. At this point, you don't want the AI to make a decision. You wanted to hand it off to a human being, a manager who can make that decision. So documenting the escalation criteria is super important here. Up next, workflow diagrams. Once we have all of these things in place, we create very elaborate workflow diagrams of all of your processes. As we've discussed before, visualizing all of these workflows is super important, and we also do that in this step. And then we deep dive into your existing operations. Even if we don't document it, we know what your pain points are, where your bottlenecks are, where AI can play the best part in making your team's lives easier. And finally, we huddle as a team and analyze all of your workflows to agree on the automation opportunities in your customer support function. So now that we have all of your operations in front of us that we can see and touch, we need to establish some baselines. We need to know what your current expense is, including people's salaries, the software that you use, any phone numbers that you pay for, any automation software that you pay for, any CRMs and whatnot. So once we're done with the workshop, the next step is to establish some baselines. It's super important for us to know what your expenses are for the customer support function, how many calls different people are taking, what is the time that you're spending on it, how much time gets spent in looking for the right information, how much time goes into refunds, how much time goes into escalations and complaints. This also includes expense for any software, any SaaS product, or any CRM that you guys are using to support your customer support function. Up next, we document your current quality of service. Things like what's your response time, what is your resolution rate, what are your no-shows percentage, what is your coverage like, how many hours are you giving coverage to your customers. So when we automate this, we at least match this quality of service moving forward. Up next, we create an ROI calculator to just create a business case for your system. Since we already know your expenses and we know how much investment is going into the no leads left behind system, in which your numbers and your quality of service is already plugged in, and it tells you how soon you'll be able to be ROI positive using the no leads left behind system. In most cases, it comes out to be less than a month. And finally, we create a quality of service baseline, which includes the metrics that we already documented and some of the metrics specific to AI automations. And that is all we do in the assess operations phase. And here are all of the things that you get at the end of this process. Number one, you get your complete housekeeping done, all of the communication tools, project management tools, all the events are set up, both the teams know each other. We give you 100% visibility into your operations. We come with a fresh pair of eyes. We come in, we dissect all of your operation. We challenge your people by asking them why they do things a certain way, and we document all of this for you to understand it better. We give you an ROI calculator that tells you how soon you'll be able to make all of your money back that you invest in the no leads left behind system. In my experience of implementing the no leads left behind system, it ends up being less than 4 weeks. So in 4 weeks, you get all of your money back that you invested on the no leads left behind system. And finally, the QoS baseline that we talked about, so that we can benchmark your customer support function and we can have the AI improve on that baseline. So yeah, this was the first step of our 9-step process, which we call the no leads left behind system. We've had customers save more than 80% time and cost in their customer support function after implementing the system. As I mentioned before, we've seen them going ROI positive in just 4 weeks. If you're interested in knowing more about how the whole system works, what it helps you install, and even if you're the right fit for the system or not. So if you want to discover all of this in detail, click on the link video and it'll tell you more about the system. But if you're ready to solve your customer support, scheduling, and follow-up problems right now, click on the link below and schedule a free 15-minute discovery call with me.